I gotta clean this safe up. Actually, as a matter of fact. Oh, whoa. Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all good? Didn't even realize it was recording. No, I'm bullshitting y'all. How y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Appreciate all the love and support that y'all have been showing me on this channel. We have kind of grown expeditiously. Shout out to T.I. Over the last month or so, we have pretty much went from, I think, 200 subs to over 600, which is crazy to me. Appreciate y'all for all the love and the support that y'all showed me on my last video. I think that's at 30K views. Now, I typically don't get caught up in all that, but it was just really dope to see it. I'm actually pretty shocked still, so thank y'all so much for all the love and support that y'all showed me on that last video. It really does mean a lot, and it actually inspires me to keep going, so that is why I'm back here. Now, I will say, most of that video was positive. Got a little spicy in there. Some of y'all are spicy people. Jesus Christ, I gotta, get some action or something. Take a cig break or whatever the hell you gotta do. But Lord Jesus Christ, some of y'all are pretty spicy. But it's cool though. I mean, it's kind of part of doing the whole content thing. Everybody's open to an opinion. Everyone's gonna have an opinion. You gotta be willing to accept that, whether you disagree with it or agree with it. It is what it is. So I'm cool. To the people who did show me love, appreciate y'all. We're gonna keep this shit going. Before we get started, I wanna, shout out my subscribers. If you're new here, welcome. I hope that you go ahead and check out my other videos and kind of gives you a perspective on me. Like I said, it's really, really cool that I get to get all the support and see it in real time. It does inspire me to keep going because, as I said before, this whole YouTube thing for me is new. And while I'm still trying to get used to it, I have gotten more used to it. In fact, this video that I'm shooting right now, I've actually shot it multiple times over the last couple of weeks, but I kept screwing up, kept, trying to be perfect. And as a perfectionist, I'm only gonna put out what I think is quality enough to put out for y'all. And I'm not gonna give y'all anything less. So, took a couple chill pills, had to walk away a couple times and, blah, 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 whatever, but we're cool now. That's just what we're gonna do in this video. Also, to clear up two things and that was left in my last video that I was seeing so much in the comments was, first things first, oh, he's putting his cameraman at risk. There is no cameraman. I just want y'all to understand that. I am a lone wolf, one-man army. The camera that I use a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And if you're known or familiar with DJI products, they have cameras that have what is called face tracking. So you can track the face and the camera will follow, because at the end of the day, these cameras are just gimbals. There is no cameraman. So to the assholes who were in my comments the last time talking about cameraman, cool your jets, calm your tits. There is no cameraman, okay? Now to this next comment, didn't really see this a lot, but I seen one person say it. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this guy's channel anymore. This is my first time watching it. Last time, he's like not professional and blah, 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 and whatever the case may be. I'm sorry if I haven't explained this to you guys, but I'm not doing this as a profession. I'm not trying to get paid from this. I do this as a hobby and just to share my love of firearms with the world and everyone else who is also into this hobby. I'm not trying to be professional. I'm not putting on a suit and tie. I try to give off the cool, chill, hang with your bros, type thing. That's my whole shtick here. I'm not trying to be suit and tie, man. There's millions of other channels you can go watch that are probably gonna fit your needs better. And if I'm not for you, that's cool. It is what it is. I mean, it's no harm, no foul. If you want somebody professional, go watch the professional guys. I'm just here to have a little bit of fun, but also, be safe and stuff like that and talk about my love with firearms with the world. So hopefully we cleared all that up. Now that we got all that bullshit out of the way, let's get to the main topic. And this topic was kind of inspired by a lot of my friends and people who I talk to at gun stores and stuff like that. The biggest thing is entering firearms or wanting to start getting into the hobby or just even getting a firearm for your own self-defense reasons or whatever the case may be. This topic was kind of inspired by them. because I get asked a lot, hey, where do I start? I want to get into firearms, but I don't know what to get. Or people just ask me in general, hey, I want to get a firearm for my self-defense, my protection. Where do I start? And you know, how do I go about it? So this kind of inspired that video. Now, before we get into the video, disclaimer, I'm not the end all be all. I've always said this. I am not the end all be all. I'm not super high on the list of people that you should follow as far as, you know, gun advice, whatever the case may be. This is just my opinion on pretty much this topic. I'm not somebody who is, you know, just, oh, you gotta listen to me and that's it. I'm not that guy. But I do have some insight that I can give and share with people. That way they kind of have an understanding of where to go and kind of get a different perspective on how to get into the firearm space and what to do after they get it and before they get their firearm. So this is kind of my take on this topic. All right, so before we get into this whole thing, let's get some things under control and understood. So when you get into the firearm space and when you start talking about getting a gun or whatever the case may be, there's kind of two types of people. There's people who are just trying to get one gun, who are just gonna use it for, you know, a nightstand gun, their self-defense at home gun, and blah, 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 blah. That's cool. On the other hand, there's people who are trying to go full-fledged with this shit and are trying to walk into this space, but they don't really know where to start or how to go about it and stuff like that. You need to kind of self-identify what your main purpose for this firearm or firearms is gonna be. I think that's the first kind of topic you need to have with yourself. So I'm gonna answer this kind of topic or this question into two parts kinda. So the first part is gonna be the one person who just wants one gun, it's for self-defense, blah, blah, blah. That's what they wanna handle. So like I said, again, you need to make sure that you identify what your main goal for your firearm is gonna be. After you do that, now you kind of walk into this part. So let's say you are on the other side where you just want one gun, that's all you need, it's all you want to, you know, deal with or whatever, that's fine. Now you need to kind of go into understanding what comes with firearm ownership. So that means you need to really do your research. And I know there's a lot of outlets out here. There's a lot of people that have opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. So the fact of the matter is that it's gonna take some time to kind of get used to and kind of get familiar with everything that's in this space, because it's not as simple as, you know, go get a gun, do this, and then that's it. There's a lot of layers to this cake that you kind of have to understand and unpack as you're going into this. So once you identify that you just want to have one gun or whatever the case may be, this is where your research starts to really kick in, and this is where you got to do your part and kind of know what's going on and all kind of jazz. So that's the next thing, you know, do your research. Once you do your research, this is kind of where you can get into the next thing, which is what is your budget? Now, when I say what is your budget, the reason I say that is because in this day and age, in 2024, there are so many ways and so many firearms out there that you can go and grab and everything like that, that you can kind of get lost in the whole situation. And it is kind of overwhelming sometimes. I mean, even me as a seasoned gun guy, it gets to that point where I'm just like, yeah, I could get this, or I want to get this, or whatever the case may be. It's a little pick and choosy sometimes, but even now I kind of just know if I go to a gun store, I know what I'm looking for, what I want, and if you don't have that, I'm cool with that. But when I first started out over 5 years ago, it was really kind of hard for me just to kind of say, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to, you know, how do I go about this? How do I go about that? What gun is this? And, you know, all kind of jazz. I mean, there's so many different opinions out here. You're going to get lost in it, but don't get overwhelmed. Don't think too deep into it. Kind of just know what your budget is, and your budget is really gonna set in stone where your threshold for firearms is gonna be. Now, when you ask me about budgets, I tell people all the time, I think a good budget for a firearm is about $500. Now, granted, that is with an asterisk, because I know someone's gonna come in and say, you don't need $500. That's my budget. That's what I would recommend for a firearm. You don't have to spend $500 on a firearm. That being said, there are some firearms that you should avoid. I'm not gonna go into the topic of what firearms you should avoid because everyone's gonna have their own opinion on it, but there are some firearms that you should avoid. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But if you ask me, I think $500 is a perfect budget. It's not too high, not too low. And to be honest, in this day and age, there's plenty manufacturers out here who make guns that are $500 or sub 500. You can spend a little bit more, but you don't have to. Even the guns that are, under 500, you don't have to spend, X, Y, or Z, because I think that's a misconception with the firearm stuff, is that you have to spend thousands of dollars to get a firearm, and that's incorrect. You can definitely get you a great firearm for under $500. CZ makes really good firearms that are under $500. Palmetto State Armory with their dagger line. I know what I said in my last video, but the fact of the matter is that they're doing a great thing. They have their daggers, micro daggers, the compact, the full size. I mean, they have options out there for you. Canic is another really good brand that makes really great firearms. I mean, I'm talking really great firearms for under $500. They have compact models, micro models. I mean, they have all the guns for everybody, and whatever your flavor is, which, by the way, I think Canic guns have probably one of the best trigger systems in the game as far as striker fired pistols are, being discussed. So definitely, like I said, again, you don't have to spend $500 exactly, but I definitely would put away $500. And the reason I say that is because you want to get the gun, but you also want to get some ammo, kind of get some training in and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that I would say is set your budget. But I think $500 is a perfect budget for anybody coming in. Once you get your budget in line, now you can go to the gun store. You can go ahead and go fill out guns and, kind of test them out, see how they are. I would recommend you go to a range that has firearms that you can rent, because that way you can go ahead and try them out, see what you like, see what you don't, because I hate people going to gun ranges and they let the old dude behind the counter tell them, oh, this gun is perfect because blah, 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 and it's a bullshit 22. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something like that. Now, I'm not saying 22 is bullshit, because any bullet can kill somebody, but the fact of the matter is that you want a gun as your first gun that's gonna perform when you need it, when you definitely want it to perform. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can go about it, but again, that's why I recommend going to a gun range, because you can go ahead, rent out a firearm, test it out, see how you like it, and see what you like and what you don't like. That way you know how to make a definitive decision when it comes to firearms, especially if you're only looking to get one, because it's different when you want to buy multiple firearms and kind of have a collection, because you can just, mix and match and kind of play around with different firearms. But when you just want one firearm for yourself, you definitely want to get the one that's going to work out for you and all your needs. So definitely go to a gun range, where you can rent a firearm, test it out, see how you like it, see what you don't like, and you can make your decision on your firearm purchase from there. Now, when it comes to gun recommendations, I know everyone is going to say it, and I know you hear it all the time, and whatever the case may be, but obviously everyone is going to recommend a Glock for your first firearm. Now, I own a Glock. I have a micro dagger, which is a Glock clone, blah, 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 whatever. But I definitely own a Glock 19 Gen 5. It is heavily modified, so it's no longer a Glock at this point. I actually got to do a video on this because this gun has, man, this is one of my favorite guns. I carry this gun all the time. But the fact of the matter is that you cannot deny Glock reliability, their name. They have been around since forever. A lot of companies, a lot of agencies, you're talking about, Army, military, police departments, blah, 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 everyone and their mom owns a Glock. Now, like I said, this Glock is modified, so you're not gonna find a Glock that looks like this. But the fact of the matter is that Glocks are perfect starter guns. You can definitely trust your life behind them. And that's a good recommendation for me, in my humble opinion. So now you made your firearm purchase. Now this is where you're really gonna wanna pay attention, because people seem to just buy a firearm, take it home, throw it in the back of their closet, and then that's it. It'll never see the light of day again, whatever the case may be. And that is the wrong thing that you need to do as a firearms owner. Even if you're just trying to get one firearm, you need to make sure that you are fully aware of the firearm you have. That way you know how to check for any malfunctions. You can field strip it, clean it, whatever the case may be. You definitely want to do your due diligence as a firearm owner, because the point of the firearm is to defend you and protect the ones around you if it's needed. it's not gonna do you any good just staying in your closet. You definitely wanna go out, get some training, get some help on your firearm, watch a lot of YouTube videos, whatever the case may be, but you have to do your due diligence and make sure that you are actually putting your firearm to good use. I'm not saying you gotta be, out here toting it and all that other stuff, like that's cool. But the fact of the matter is that as a responsible firearms owner, you definitely wanna go ahead and learn about the gun that you are carrying, purchasing, using, whatever. A lot of this stuff can get lost in translation and you want to get familiar with it. So definitely get you some help, get some training, look at some classes in your area, see if you can join a club or whatever the case may be. I know in my current state, in order to get my firearms permit, you have to take a course, which is about 8 hours. It's a basic course. I wouldn't recommend the course, but you do have to take it, and it does give you the option to go ahead and get your firearms carry permit. So get some training, get some getting some reps, get some classes, do everything you got to do to kind of make sure your firearm experience isn't a waste and it is fully utilized by you. So that's definitely what I recommend. Now, also, and this is just my opinion, I genuinely think that anyone who is a firearms owner, whether you are trying to be a big collector or just someone who wants to own a single firearm, I think there's a conversation that needs to be had with oneself that a lot of these people are not having, and it's kind of scary. The conversation that I'm talking about is understanding what firearms are used for and what is the purpose of their use. Because at the end of the day, firearms are tools. You can make them look nice and everything like that, but at the end of the day, they are tools. So there is a conversation that needs to be had with oneself that a lot of people aren't having, in my humble opinion, and that's kind of how we end up with a lot of irresponsible firearm owners. Now that conversation is am I ready to take on what comes with firearm ownership? What I mean by that is, we buy firearms, to protect ourselves, our loved ones, and everything like that. But a lot of people don't understand that there may be a time in your firearm ownership that you will have to use said firearm to protect your life and those around you. That may involve taking someone's life off this earth, and that can, be a child, a perpetrator, adult, whatever the case may be. I mean, there's so many variables that goes into owning firearms that a lot of people don't really understand. And it's a very serious situation because people just buy firearms. They're just like, oh yeah, I want to defend myself and whatever, but you got to understand the aftermath that comes with self-defense. It's not something that is black and white. It's just, oh yeah, I defend myself and cameras are there and that's it. Being a firearm owner is a very big responsibility because things could go left very quick, and you got to be able to accept everything that comes with. That being said, one conversation that I had with my dad and even myself when I got into firearms was, could I stomach the fact that my firearm may have to be used in a situation to take a life? And a lot of people don't have that conversation. And I think that's a very important one, because if you can't stomach that, that is something that may deter you from being able to protect your life and your loved one's life. So that's definitely a conversation that I think people should have with themselves before they just go out and jump into firearm ownership. Because in my humble opinion, if you cannot stomach that, I don't think you should get into firearms yet until you understand what that comes with. Because believe it or not, there is an invisible, contract that comes with owning a firearm. So the fact of the matter is that you got to be able to take everything this comes with or could potentially come with. And once you kind of do that, then you can kind of make your next steps. All right, so that's pretty much how I feel about first time or single purchase firearm owners. That's kind of that spiel and everything like that. So that's that half. Now we're gonna get into the people who want to get into collecting firearms or owning a pretty big spots for firearms. This is gonna be kind of my favorite one because I can kind of give you my real thoughts and opinions on this. Now this is my favorite part because everyone pretty much starts somewhere when it comes to starting a collection or whatever the case may be. I was one of those people who started somewhere. When it comes to firearm ownership, my dad was the one that kind of brought this life to me. He's a Navy vet, so he brought this life to me, and it kind of really just became a thing. Now, that being said, my dad is what I would call a hoarder. He's not anybody who goes out to the gun range or anything like that. I mean, he buys guns and he just keeps them, you know, whatever, as kind of like flex pieces, I would say. But me, I actually go to the gun range. I'm a part of a club. I got memberships. I got abundance of ammo and all kind of guns, and all my firearms have rounds put through them, whether it's 500 or 1,000 or whatever the case may be. Well, except that one, I just got that, so that one doesn't have any rounds through it, but fact of the matter is it will at some point. Getting into this part, it's really, really cool because there has been no better time to be a firearm owner than today. I mean, the game is just it's so abundant. I mean, there's so many options you can go with now. I mean, there's everything from piston-driven guns, striker fire guns, hammer fire, double action, single action, direct impingement. I mean, there's bullpups. I mean, there's so many different guns that you can look at today that, you know, you definitely have you definitely have a road ahead of you, is what I'm just gonna say, because all this stuff really does get intriguing, interesting, fun to kind of look at and see all the different options you can go with. But just like the other part of this video, I'm gonna tell y'all, slow your roll, okay? What I mean by that is because everybody, they just, you know, those who wanna start a collection, they go to the gun store and they just start looking at stuff and it's like, oh, pretty colors, or oh, that looks dope, and this looks like the gun that's in my favorite movie, blah, 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 and stuff like that. Whole time, that movie gun is a piece of shit. That gun is unreliable, and that gun is gonna blow up in your hand. I mean, it's just, there's so many different ways you can go about this that you kind of really want to do your research as well. You definitely want to research stuff that you're looking into and really learn, because at the end of the day, this stuff is fun, but these are still tools at the end of the day. You definitely want to learn about any other, you know, gun or whatever the case may be. You want to learn about the guns that you are looking at and interested in. It would have saved me a lot of money. Now, on my journey, when I first started, I spent a shit ton of money buying a bunch of dumb shit that didn't need to be bought, didn't make any difference in my gun. In fact, made my gun even less reliable, or whatever the case may be. Trust me, this journey for me, I went through a lot of growing pains. I bought my first rifle when I was a senior in college, and I still have it to this day. It's in the back of my safe. I'm not gonna get it because I have to pull out 5 other guns to get it, but the fact of the matter is that I still own it today, and it is, that gun has been my baby, my road dog. That gun taught me a lot. I went through a lot learning about the AR-15 platform on that gun. It's staying with me forever. It's a direct impingement, 10.5, 5.56 gun. And like I said, it's been through so many changes. It doesn't even look like how it looked when I first bought it. So again, it's gonna take some time, and research is gonna play a role into all of this. Now, like I said, everyone has to start somewhere. My first pistol ever was a Taurus G2C. Despite the hate that Tauruses get today, I'm gonna be honest, my G2C was great. I didn't have any problems with it. It lasted me a very long time until I was able to save up enough money to buy the gun that I really wanted, which was a Springfield XDM. Again, another gun that gets a lot of hate. I don't know what everybody's talking about. My XDMs were great. I loved them. I had 3 of them. No, I'm sorry. I had 4 of them. I had XDM 9mm. I had the XDM Elite 9mm. I had the XDM Elite and 10mm. I've had a couple XDs in my life, and despite those 2 getting a shit ton of hate, those guns worked great for me. And I had a lot of rounds to both of them. So, you know, that's what I mean by doing your research with this stuff, because you get caught up in the internet and stuff like that. Everybody's out here is just an echo chamber. People don't know shit. Most of the time, people who are talking never have owned or shot any of the guns that they're downing. So that kind of plays a role into all of this as well. So when you're building your collection, I definitely think you need to have at least 1 pistol and 1 rifle. That is the basic you know, perfect starting point for any new up and coming collector and stuff like that. You definitely want to get you one solid handgun. And just like I told the people who were just single purchasers, there's so many ways you can go about it. You can set your budget. My budget, I wouldn't go below $500, just my opinion, but I wouldn't go under $500. That's just me. But there's so many options you can go with. And like I said, it's a really great time to be a gun owner. There's so many different companies and brands, and all these new companies, they're coming out with some dope ass shit. And some stuff that is just changing the industry every single time that they release something. So definitely look into a gun that you are going to, you know, probably carry, learn about, you know, dismantle, put together, build out and stuff like that. That's definitely where I think you should start. But a decent pistol as a starting and a decent rifle is a perfect place to start your collection. So I lied, I'm actually gonna be nice, and I did bring out my rifle. So this was my first AR-15. This is a Ruger AR-556 10.5 inch pistol. It has been SBR'd. I've had this gun for 4 years. I bought this gun again in college, and this thing was $500 when I put it together. Obviously, inflation, COVID, just the gun industry in general has changed how much these guns cost now. So I think this setup is probably like $1,000 now. So they doubled the price. Do I think it's worth that? No. But again, this gun has been my oldest baby and has seen the most revisions. It is SBR now, which is why I have the grip and why I have a stock on it. It also is a suppressor host. I use Reardon as my mounting solution. Shout out to Reardon. They're really good people. But again, definitely a good way to start. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a rifle today. It's really almost impossible to get a terrible rifle today. A lot of companies make decent rifles. PSA, Palmetto State Armory, is a prime example of that. That being said, if you do want to spend a little bit more, or if you have a little bit more disposable income, you can do that. I'm just saying more so from the person who doesn't want to spend too much, maybe doesn't have as much disposable income to buy a $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 plus rifle. You can start small. PSA makes really great rifles. Also, make sure that you know the laws in your state, because every state has different laws. So you may not be able to get away with a lot of stuff that I could get away with in my state. So it's definitely something that you want to read up on. And yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, you don't have to spend that much money. I sure didn't. I mean, I probably have now because this gun has been through so many revisions, but yeah, this is a good way to start. Get you a nice, cheap AR, learn about the platform, you know, kind of build your expertise, see what you like, see what you don't. This gun was definitely, this gun was definitely ugly as hell. If I had pictures, I would show you how it actually looked like before today. And yeah, but definitely, you know, a nice little rifle setup. Look into one of those. Not to mention, like I said, this is a suppressor host. So this is the Lahar 30 by Aero Precision. Just got approved a couple weeks ago, so hasn't been shot yet, but yeah, really nice setup. Now let's say you don't want to buy your rifle, you want to build you one. That's also fun. Here's the thing though, if you don't have any experience with ARs at all, it's not something I recommend. Granted, there is millions of videos out here. There's thousands of forums and stuff like that. I use Reddit a lot. So there's thousands of different ways that you can go ahead and see about building a rifle, but rifles are simple, but still kind of tricky at the same time. This is my 300 Blackout build. Really nice. I call her Matcha Girl. Really nice setup, Dead Air Wolfman on it. But this is a build, I put this together myself. Everything from top to bottom is done by me. The only thing that I didn't do was torque the barrel on because I live in an apartment. I don't have a vice bench or anything like that. But this whole thing was put together by me. So had I not known about rifles, this would have been very difficult because even when I did put this together, there were some pieces that took me a little bit longer to actually get right. So this build again right here is one of my babies. Now that being said, when it comes to builds, they can get pricey. So it's not something that you really want to go and just flat out do, because you can either go the fully put together gun route or you can build your own. But again, it can get pretty pricey. So if you feel like you're gonna go ahead and spend a bunch of money on a rifle anyway, it may, suit you better to just go ahead and buy a pre-built rifle from a reputable company. There's many companies out here that make really good rifles. And like I said, again, in 2024, it's almost impossible to get a shitty rifle. Just my opinion. Now, the next thing that I would definitely say is once you kind of have your nice pistol set up, your rifle, that you're looking at or whatever the case may be, or you picked it up already, now you can kind of get into upgrading, getting the training, getting the practice, which I definitely recommend you do first. Go out, actually get some training, put some rounds through your pistols and your rifle, so that way you know what you like, what you don't, how it feels. Because I see a lot of people making changes to their setups and they've never even taken the gun to the actual range. So they don't know if the gun was perfect how it was before, or if the changes were even necessary. I see a lot of people get caught up in this AR master race, which I'm definitely gonna talk about too, because I fell victim to it a while ago, and I definitely don't want you guys to fall victim into it, or victim to it per se. Definitely there's ways that you can go ahead and build your rifle, do what you want to do, but I definitely recommend getting the training first, putting your rifle through its paces, and then as you go and learn about it, then you make the upgrades as you see fit. Starting the collection situation, like I said, you guys already seen 2 of my setups already, but the point that I'm making is that collections are fun, they're really good to build, but when you're starting out, you kind of really want to get into learning about your platforms if you don't know anything about it, or kind of seeing what you like and what you don't before you make any upgrades. I always will push that and recommend that you definitely put your guns through the paces, because there are a lot of guns out here that are just fine out the box and you're making unnecessary changes to them. And there are guns out here who could use a little bit of assistance and you can make the changes there. So there is no in between, but just do the research and get the training, go put some rounds through it. Get your gun's feet wet, I would say, before you go out and start making a bunch of stupid ass changes that you didn't need to even make in the first place. Now, after you get your first pistol and rifle, this is where you start just going crazy, because I sure did. I don't know what it is. It just unlocked something in me and I just started buying a bunch of shit. I wanted to try everything and this and that. And I gotta tell y'all, I have went through in the last couple years, maybe 50 guns. And now I'm down to like, I think 12, 13, because I minimized my collection by eliminating guns that did make sense to me, I didn't even end up liking, or it just wasn't being shot enough. Now, if you ask the internet, some people are gonna say, no sell, only buy. I don't subscribe to none of that shit at all, because this is my collection. If I don't want a gun, shit's gone. Fuck out of here, are you crazy? So my advice would definitely be, take your time with building your collection. Definitely look into setups that you know you're gonna use, you're gonna enjoy, and learn to really actually enjoy what you have. I think a lot of people get caught into this thing where they just buy stuff just because they want to flex or prove that they have it, or blah, 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 and they're guns that they don't even enjoy. I have downsized all my guns to guns that I enjoy, plan to keep, don't plan on ever getting rid of, and that's why I make the adjustments. Like the Glock 19 that I showed you guys earlier, that was a Gen 5 19. It has custom work on it now. It has an optics cut on it. It actually has a whole different slide on there. I'm gonna do a video on that build, because that build is so much fun. I love it. I would never get rid of that Glock. But the fact of the matter is that you don't want to get caught up in what I call the gun master race. Let me explain. So the gun master race is a very interesting topic, because it's a situation where everybody's just trying to have the new latest and greatest. Everybody wants to have what's hot, what's out, blase, blase, blah. And I'm victim of this as well. I've kind of steered clear from it as of recent, maybe the last year or so. But the fact of the matter is that you can really get caught up in trying to have the latest and the greatest. It can cost you way more money than you would ever want it to. Trust me, I am a victim of this. Listen to me. Do not get caught up in this gun master race. Definitely only get guns that you know you're actually gonna use, enjoy, and play with as much as you can. You know, get some range time with it, use it to carry, blah, blah, blah. There really is no point in trying to have everything the latest and greatest. I see it all on the internet all the time. This guy has the 250,000 collection of guns and all this other shit. I can promise you he probably hasn't shot 85% of that shit. So definitely don't get it, caught up in this master race of rifles, pistols, blase, blase, blah. Because I have definitely only gotten and kept guns that I know I was gonna keep for a very long time or never get rid of, like my Staccato C2. This gun right here is my baby. This was actually the first gun that I ever spent real money on. Like all the guns that I've had, I've spent maybe $600, $700. This gun scared the shit out of me when I purchased it because this gun cost me about $2,600. And that's what I mean by getting into the master race, because people tend to buy a lot of stuff and put themselves in debt because they want to have all the latest and greatest, new guns out. And the shit really isn't necessary because there's so many good guns out here that, hell, I've heard comparisons with the Staccato to CZ Shadows and stuff like that. A lot of people think that the Dan Wesson series of firearms and the CZ, single action or double action firearms, 1911, 2011 style guns are comparable to this. I've never shot one, so I can't make that distinction, but you don't have to spend $2,600 on a pistol just because it's the hot thing on Instagram or Reddit or whatever the case may be. You definitely can have quality guns today and not have to break the bank to do so. Like I said, this gun was expensive as hell, and all this did was open a world for me that I really didn't even want to get into. So if there's any advice that I can give to anyone who wants to start a collection or whatever the case may be, is quality over quantity matters. I see it all the time. People get caught up in this, oh, well, this influencer has this gun or these guns, so I gotta have it too. Listen, the gun community is just like any other community, sneakers, any other community that you're part of, whatever the case may be. There are influencers, there are people who are paid to say nice things about stuff and get you to buy them. That's their point of an influencer. And you can really get caught into that. Listen, I've been through my fair share of guns. Quality over quantity is always gonna matter. Someone could have 1,000,000 guns. If they're all shit, it doesn't mean anything. But if you have 12 good guns that you like and enjoy and have been proven reliable, proven to do everything that you needed to do and whatever the case may be, that's gonna do you better than trying to have the latest and greatest that is a piece of shit. Trust me, I've seen it. I fell victim for it. I would hate for y'all to fall victim to that too. So I definitely say get quality firearms. Do what you gotta do. Find what you like. Hell, you can stick to brands if you want to. I mean, there's brands that make really, really great guns that if you don't feel like you wanna veer off and try another brand, you don't have to, that's cool. But I definitely think you're doing yourself a disservice by staying with one brand when there's thousands of others that do really well. Like I said, CZ is a really great brand. They're putting out a lot of stuff. There's SIG, we have FN, and like all these other brands and stuff, which, like I said, again, even these high-end brands that are coveted, highly recommended, highly regarded, they put out bullshit too. Trust me. SIG puts a lot of bullshit. Glock has put out bullshit. FN has put out bullshit. All these brands, just because you hear your favorite rapper sing about it, or you see it in the streets, or you go to a gun store, you see it, whatever. I say rapper because I listen to music. I ain't whatever. But the point that I'm making is a lot of these brands that are coming out that are evolving or doing more, they're putting out some really dope shit and they're killing the competition. Hell, they're killing a lot of these big name brands too. And they're even inspiring these big name brands to go and you know, change the perspective or change their approach when it comes to firearms. Because believe it or not, while Glocks are working and they're fine and everything like that, it gets boring having the same Glock over and over and over again. That's really gonna be the big thing here. Take your time and build a quality collection. Then after that, you can start looking into the NFA route. You can start looking at the SBRs, the suppressors, and I gotta tell y'all, I just got into the suppressor game about, I'd say maybe almost maybe a year ago. I bought my first suppressor, my Dead Air Wolfman. I actually bought two suppressors at the same time. I have my Rex MG7K and my Wolfman, and I got them approved in under 5 months. And then I just got my third suppressor approved. I bought that back in August. It got approved, I'd say maybe 2 weeks ago. Haven't put it through its paces yet, but I gotta tell y'all, suppressor shooting, game changer. So again, once you start getting into, you know, the setups and your collections, then you can, you know, dip and dab into the NFA stuff, and it's really, really fun. Hell, you don't even have to have a full out collection to get into NFA stuff. Suppressors are really dope. They are pricey, but I don't think I can go back to shooting a suppress, y'all. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So yeah, y'all, that's pretty much my take on the getting into firearms or building a collection piece. I hope I was able to help out anyone who just needed a different perspective, and kind of make you guys see the light or the realities of firearm ownership. I really hope this is the content that y'all need. And like I said, I don't want to just do reviews and stuff. I kind of want to have different conversations and open up the floor to kind of conversing with the community, because there's so many different ways you can go about this. Everyone's doing the same thing. I don't want nobody to just feel like it's just reviews. I want to have real conversations, kind of give out some, you know, perspectives, and take a different approach with this gun stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. And thank y'all for watching. I will catch y'all on the next one. See ya.